crackpot theory boiling up in my head, and I just gotta share it with the world, or lack thereof. So the Liberty Falls gameplay has been out for a while, and, much like everyone else, I thought it was kinda poopy, kinda dumb, kinda, God forbid I say, mid. A lot of this has to do with it's just a bland looking map, but I think a more significant portion of it is it kind of had a lot of hype around it. Like, it almost had more hype than Terminus, the other map, which definitely seems to be like the main map. So, my little brain, my little noodle has been, working overtime thinking about what's going on here. Why was it so bad, and why has it been so hyped? So a few months ago, before we even knew Black Ops 6 was a thing, there was a little bit of a leak going around, and this leak was talking about Black Ops 6 and, more importantly, its zombie maps. And it said that the zombie maps were a map on like an island, on like a prison island, and then a map in an American town. And that was kind of right spot on, so this was definitely a credible leak. That's exactly what the maps ended up being. But one thing it kind of mentioned was that the American map, which is now known as Liberty Falls, it had like some kind of correlation to transit. And now that we've seen the gameplay, the only correlation there really is that it has the jet gun. This goes even further because, Mr. Raffle Waffles, the zombie Jesus himself, he actually did some digging into this, and he found real life examples of, like, presumably the place Liberty Falls is based off of, and all these correlating things to transit and all that. And this all, like, kind of ended up becoming like this huge thing where he went on an ARG, like he was getting attacked by cultists. That was clearly like a Treyarch, like he was in cahoots with Treyarch making this video, or these videos. He made like 8 of them. Like, this wasn't like a simple like, oh, I'm just gonna visit West Virginia, It was like a whole ordeal. And so I just think it's really weird that he did all this for a map that's like, I don't know, balls? Why did he and Treyarch, and I don't maybe like Treyarch had barely anything to do with it and it was mostly just him, but either way, they had some involvement because it ended with him going to Treyarch and playing the damn game. So obviously, something was going on here. Why did they have him do all that? And remember, this was based off of him finding something about transit. He even went to like locations. There's a bridge, there's a church, there's a diner that looked very similar to the one in transit. And the only area that ended up making it into the actual Liberty Falls map was the church. But it was like the exact same church he went to. Like, it was clearly supposed to be the same church, like modeled off of it. So when someone says, oh, they're making another transit map, you're probably thinking about like a bus and like going to different areas and traveling, because that was kind of transit's whole deal. Well, Drake, where's the transit? We got the jet gun, and that's kind of it. And this brings me to my crackpot theory. I think that Liberty Falls is a transit map, or actually maybe more of like an outbreak map, because I think that one thing zombies kind of struggles with like the modern COD formula of like seasons and stuff like that. They can't really make new content for zombies for every season easily. Every time there's like a content drop for the game and there's not really anything that has to do with zombies in it, people are like, hey yo, where's the zombies? Why aren't the zombies fans getting anything? And they kind of tried to solve this with Outbreak in Cold War, but the zombies fans didn't really like that because it wasn't round based. So I think I am proposing that perhaps Liberty Falls is like some kind of amalgamation of Transit and Outbreak. And what we saw in the gameplay reveal was essentially just them playing on one region of Outbreak, or like just survival on town in Transit. And I think that is all we're gonna see of Liberty Falls at launch. Like, that's just the map that we're gonna play. And that's the reason why they aren't showing us anything, because I think a big wedge in my idea is that, like, well, why wouldn't they show like the other areas if that's true? And that's what brings me to the idea that there is only one region right now, but later they will drop like these tiny little Liberty Falls sized maps when they're not doing the bigger Terminus style maps. And that's to kind of like tide you over in the seasons that zombies would normally not get that much content. So I'd like to imagine this. Let's say, so Liberty Falls is what you saw at the gameplay reveal, just that map. And then of course there's an Easter egg. But let's say the Easter egg kind of like doesn't really have an ending, or like an unsatisfying ending. And that's because the rest of it comes when the next region comes out. And maybe it's hard to say how they'd work, but I can't imagine it'd be like a transit thing where like you'd ride the bus to a new region. I think it'd be more like an Outbreak thing where you take a portal and get like a loading screen, and then you go to the next region. Maybe you don't have as much freedom as transit, but that'd probably be for the better, and just you get to this more like you get to this other Liberty Falls sized map, and you can do like an Easter egg or whatever, and it just has like all the normal stuff. Maybe there's like intel, or all the standard zombie stuff. And this is supposed to be like essentially like a survival map on Transit, playing one of the survival maps versions of the region, but it's all in like the same Liberty Falls playlist, I guess. And part of the reason is it feels like Liberty Falls is just too significant of a location to not have, for what we saw at COD Next, to just be the whole map. Like, there's this whole Project Janus nonsense and all that. Like, that correlates to Liberty Falls more than Terminus. So why is Liberty Falls the lamer of the two maps? There's a lot of story going on, and not a lot of story on the actual map. I know that Easter eggs were disabled, blah blah blah, but I don't think, like, if you disable the Easter egg on Der Eisendrache or Forsaken or something, there's still a lot of like story and significant things happening on those maps that you can pick up on without doing the Easter egg. So yeah, anyway, that's where my brain's at. Maybe I'm just huffing the copium too much, but I just can't fathom how that's the map. Like, all that we saw is it. Like, there's gotta be an explanation. It's just too fishy to me. I refuse to believe it until I'm given evidence to suggest otherwise, and then I become sad. Anyway, that's my rant. That's my Liberty Falls rant. That's all I got. And don't forget